How's it going, everyone? Today's video will be a complete guide to whip cracking for beginners. We're going to be discussing different materials for whips, lengths, everything that you're going to need to start whip cracking, and also going over some basic cracks to learn in the very beginning. So, with all that said, let's get to it. So before we do anything, I think it's a really good idea to show you guys the whip, the parts of the whip, so you can get more familiar with it. So for this demonstration, I'll be using my 8-foot 12 plat kangaroo hide bullwhip that I got off Etsy from Old Fashioned Classics, aka Michael. Fantastic craftsman. Check him out. I'll put the link down in the description. We're going to start off with the heel, aka the heel knot right here. The big ball at the end kind of gives you that good grip. That's where I usually hold the whip, right there. Then you actually get into the handle itself. Okay. Then right here you have the transition knot. Alright, now we actually get into the, it's called the thong, but I call it just the whip itself. But it, the correct term is thong. That goes all the way down, tapers down, thinner and thinner. And then right here you have the fall hitch with the little tassels there, and then you just have the single strand of leather, which is the fall all the way down to the popper or cracker, whatever way you want to say it. Yeah, that right there is the anatomy, I guess you could say, of a bullwhip. Now there's many different types of whips that you can buy. I mean, it's not just bullwhips, but the three most common whips are snake whips, bull whips, and stock whips. So snake whips, they have no handle. There is a heel knot and it goes straight into the thong of the whip. Bull whips tend to have an 8 to 10 inch handle, and stock whips have a 18 to 21 inch handle. That's more for leverage and fast whip cracking. Now, in my personal opinion, for any beginner, I recommend a bull whip. It's the perfect in-between whip. You have a handle, and you can do a lot of the cracks that stock whips can do, and also snake whips. It's literally the perfect balanced whip to buy. So I highly recommend getting a bull whip. Now, materials. So whips can be made out of many different things, but the three most common materials that whips are made of are nylon, which I have right here, cowhide, which I do not have on me currently, and then kangaroo hide. So nylon, you're going to be looking at, especially from a good whip maker, you're going to be looking at maybe $150 to $250 depending on the length of the whip. Cowhide, you're going to be looking into that $300 mark, and then kangaroo hide is the top dog. It's the best, it's the strongest leather. You're going to be looking at $400 to $500, even $600 depending on the whip maker and also the length. Now, if you're wondering what material to get, honestly, it depends how interested you are in this hobby. Now, if you want to go all in, you're super interested, I highly recommend just getting a kangaroo hide bullwhip. You will not regret it. It's phenomenal. That's exactly what I did in the very beginning. And it's just amazing. And you, like I said, will not regret it. But if you kind of want to dip your toes in the water, kind of test it out, I highly recommend nylon. See, I made this nylon bullwhip. It's fantastic. And I have nothing against cowhide. I just feel like if you're going in the leather game, you might as well get kangaroo hide and just, you know, have the best and the strongest leather. But like I said, if you want to dip your toes in and test it out, nylon whips are phenomenal. And that is very, very loud. So one thing is that we do plan on selling nylon whips on the YouTube store, so just keep an eye out for that. Once we kind of get everything in place, we'll let you guys know on YouTube. Now, I do want to warn you guys, especially the beginners out there that are looking at whips online and they see kangaroo hide bull whip, $100, $150. Do not do it. It's a scam, I promise you. All right, you are not going to get the whip that you see in that picture. All right, and we actually bought one of those cheap you know, $150 kangaroo hide bull whips, and we're going to be making a video directly on that topic. So keep an eye out for that. But please do not buy that. You know, I get it. if you're looking at a kangaroo hide bullwhip and it's $400, $450, that may seem really high, but I'm telling you right now, it is not. All right, I bought this 10 years ago. This is kangaroo hide. All right, 10 years ago of cracking this thing in snow, wet grass, all right, slicing open melons and fruits and everything. And this thing is still in prime condition. And it just goes to show you, when you do buy something that's priced at the right price point, you're gonna get exactly what you pay for. And that's this right here. So please do not buy cheap whips. They are scams, all right, especially ones that are claiming that they're kangaroo hide and all that stuff. So just do your research. Now what we're going to be talking about is the length of the whips. Now the most common lengths are 4 foot, 6 foot, 8 foot, and 10 foot. It can even go up to 12 foot and beyond that, and you can get some odd number ones, but let's stick with 4, 6, 8, and 10. Those are your most common lengths. So the question I get the most about whip cracking for beginners is, what length is perfect? Now you need to realize that the shorter the whip, the faster the cracks you're going to be able to do, and the longer the whip, the slower the cracks you're going to be able to do. But it is a catch-22, because the shorter the whip, the dimmer the crack, or the softer the crack is. The longer the whip, the louder the crack is. So you're going to want to decide on what you're going to want, loud cracks or fast cracks. But in my personal opinion, 6 foot and 8 foot are the perfect lengths for beginners. So when I first started whip cracking, I started off with an 8 foot, and I don't regret that decision whatsoever. The reason I got an 8 foot is because Indiana Jones usually used an 8 foot or a 10 foot, and 8 foot whips can give out some of the loudest cracks, and you can actually go check out those loudest whip cracks videos on the channel. But for an example, right here. Yeah, really loud. So if you guys are wondering what type of material to use for the popper and how to maintain your whip and how to tie a popper onto the fall, there's videos on the channel of me describing all that stuff and going over it. I will link all those videos down in the description below for you guys. They're very easy to do, so don't worry about it. Like I said, just check them out, and they're like 2-minute long videos, if that. Now you're probably sitting there saying, shut the hell up and get to the whip cracking, which I get it. I totally understand. I'll be showing you a couple tutorials on how to do some cracks. There's a bunch of tutorials on the channel if you want to go check those out. But I'm only going to go over the couple most basic cracks to learn for beginners, which is the Cattleman's crack. I think that's the first crack any beginner should learn. It's very easy to do, and let's do it right now. So for this crack, I always tell everyone to start with the whip behind you, all right? And then you're gonna wanna swing it up pretty fast. Don't swing it up light. Don't go like this, where it's got a lot of droop in that whip, okay? Swing it up pretty decent, okay? Get that momentum going. And I'd say just do that for a little bit. Get the hang of it. I always tell everyone, put your arm at a 90-degree angle here, okay? So when you swing up, okay, 90-degree angle. And that's what I tell everyone, 90-degree angle. And get used to actually hearing the whip hit the ground behind you, because that's very important in this crack. Okay, I could hear the whip hit the leaves. All right, now right when it touches the ground behind you, you're gonna wanna take that 90-degree angle that you put in your arm, and then you're gonna wanna go down. All right, take that 90-degree angle and go down. And you're gonna form this loop. See, you can almost even see it in the whip already. I'm not even doing the crack. Up. Now right when that whip touches that ground, like I said, behind you, put your arm down. Just like that. And that's it. really, that's about it. It's a very, very simple crack. Now, the more you get used to this crack, the better that you get at it. You can actually start to throw your arm out and actually aim at things. You don't always have to throw your arm down for the Cattleman's crack. You can actually, you know, fling it out. But for the time being, I think 90-degree angle, down, okay? That right there is the Cattleman's crack. So the next crack we're going to be talking about is the sidearm crack. Now this crack is extremely easy and should be accomplished by really anyone. So here we go. Now the sidearm crack can be performed with the whip in front of you or behind you. For beginners, I like to say just start with the whip behind you. Now you want to put your wrist up, your hand, almost like you're serving, I don't know, a dinner plate, or you're a waiter or something, or a waitress. Now what you're going to do, whip's behind you, you're going to almost want to push your arm. You don't want to throw, don't throw anything. Okay, don't put your arm out. You want to keep everything tight to your body and push, and then at the very end, flick that wrist. Like this. Just like that. Tight, hand up, push, flick. All right, and make sure to always follow through with these cracks. I like to say this, is that where your hand goes, that whip is gonna go. So do not be afraid that the whip's gonna hit you. It probably will happen. It still happens to me. But I'm gonna tell you right now, where your hand goes, okay, the whip goes. You see how the whip just dropped in front of me? Now if I was to do this, see, I brought the whip back, or I brought my hand back, the whip came back. Now when it comes to the sidearm, when I crack, you see how I'm bringing my hand around, letting it just go around? Where your hand goes, the whip is going to go. So back to the sidearm. All right, tight, wrist up, push, flick. And that right there is a sidearm. Very, very easy. Now, I said in the beginning, you can actually do this with the whip in front of you. This is one, I guess you could say, is a little more challenging for beginners. And that's just, you're gonna swing the whip, kind of let it get stationary up in the air, like midway, just hardly pick it up. And then you're gonna almost wanna do the same thing. And that's it. Just see how the whip gets picked up barely in the air? I actually really like doing the sidearm with the whip in front first. It seems like you can aim at things better for some reason. This way, like I said, is perfect for beginners with the whip starting in the back. And that right there are two very basic whip cracks to get started. Like I said, there's videos on the channel of a lot of tutorials doing flicks, overheads, reverse overheads, all that stuff. So if you want to go check that out, please do. So there's really nothing else to talk about. I kind of explained everything that you should know, especially getting into whip cracking. So there's nothing else left to do but actually crack some whips. Thank you guys for watching. I really hope this video helped. You guys take it easy.